Okay, whatever. That's close enough. I know more people join in a second. So hopefully everybody's having a good day. We're going to go ahead and start the YouTube highlight right here. So this is where I'm going to um, trim it and upload it to my YouTube if you guys want to watch it later or show it to someone else who wants to watch it and learn. As was requested by several people via like PMs, tweets, and things like that. A lot of people are asking for like World of Logs stuff. So we're gonna be touching on that a little bit tonight, and I also have a um one of the users PM me here, and hopefully. Uh, this guy needs some help with Heroic Jurumu, so we're gonna hopefully get him in the mix. But we're gonna go ahead and start it with some World of Logs stuff. Okay, so let me go ahead and get the World of Logs in here opened up. I'm gonna be going over a. Oh my god, I must not have any mods in here. But yeah, I have to mod the chat myself. It looks like. No worries. Okay, so we're gonna, like I said, we already started the YouTube highlight, so we're gonna go ahead and kick it off with some World of Log stuff. So I've got the World of Log stuff segmented into um, like a little outline that I want to go over with you guys. I'm gonna teach you guys a little bit, like, because one of the key elements to being successful at raiding is not just being able to play the game well. It's also being able to understand the other stuff like World of Logs. I mean, this stuff plays a pretty big part in being a successful raider because it allows you to be able to analyze your stuff, learn what you're doing wrong, learn what you're doing right, learn how to improve. I mean, the whole nine, man. It's got everything that you need to know. So if you're wanting to get better as a raider, and even this, like, let's say that it's not you that want to it's not you that's looking to get better as much as it is you're trying to help your guild. You know what I mean? Like, you're a raid leader and you're trying to figure out what your guild's doing wrong or something like that. So this World of Logs segment that we're going to be going over is going to kind of explain how someone would do that. So here, all right, I'm going to go ahead and I got the outline here. These are just a few of the topics that we're going to go over. We're going to start with like buffs and debuff. We'll just start with a general overview. Okay, so um, actually, before we even get started with my link, does anybody in chat have a link to some logs that you want me to use as an example? If you guys do, you feel free to link them. But with that said, we're going to go ahead and start with some of the Blood Legion logs. Now, our logs are private, so you're just going to have to follow along with the stream here. But if one of you guys links me a set of public logs, we can follow along. At the same time or whatever. I mean, I'm saying like the viewers can follow along. So right now we're going to go ahead and just kind of look at some of the basic commands that we have here. It's pretty straightforward. Your dashboard. One thing that you can find here on the dashboard is it's gonna have like specific like grouped information, like let's say Sinestra or something. You can, or interrupts. Like if you just want to look at overall, those are grouped right here, and that's on the dashboard in a nice little consolidated place instead of having to go through and add shit up and things like that. So like back on Sinestra, if you wanted to see how good your healer was doing with rack or something like that, you would just go on the dashboard and look at the dispels here. Same thing with interrupts on a fight that you need interrupts, spell steals, blah blah blah. Okay. Um, Another thing, I mean, another useful thing about the dashboard, you can kind of look at, overall damage, or all this stuff is located at other points in World of Logs. So, um, but this is just, like I said, a nice consolidated like overview of raid DPS, damage taken. You see your overhealing, all this shit, damage taken by spell. But anyways, not gonna harp too much on that. Compare fights, we're not gonna get in that. I mean, we're gonna go over like the core parts here. This is kind of like stuff that I use on a weekly basis or during progression and things like that. Okay. One key thing we're going to hit on is we're going to look at analyze damage done. Then we're gonna go over the basic damage done also. Then we're going to survivability is one of the things I was going to go over. And last but not least, I was going to show you guys how to use the log browser. Okay, this is, like I said, basic stuff. I'm not going to like try to hit you guys with the whole fucking, you know, every bit of it. You know, it's a little bit overload. But not to mention, I mean, there's actually, I'm going to be the first to admit, I don't know every single thing about World of Laws. I'm pretty fluent with it, but I'm not to the point where, like, you know, there's some of the guys in the guild, like Shinna, Zonker, some of those people, they can go through and do shit with the expression editor that I don't really understand how, but I know enough to get around and, like, figure out whatever I need to figure out. So, um, anyways, going on here, we're going to look, this is overall damage done. This is from this week's rod end kill for us, so just so you guys can kind of look at this and follow along. As soon as I'm done going over the overview, I'm going to look at some of these links you guys have in chat, okay? This is, you know, not necessarily as important as, like, the analyte, because, like, on a fight like Rodin, I mean, yes, it's important that overall damage is where it needs to be, but it's not going to be to the point to where you're going to be able to figure out what the problem is, unless you're just, somebody's just significantly behind everyone else, and then it's like, okay, you're just shitty in all areas because your overall damage is shit. But, you know, let's get a little bit more specific here. So let's look at Rodin, right? The biggest things that need to die on this fight are the red orbs. So let's just go look, and we'll look at Corrupted Anima. I'm sorry, not Corrupted Anima. Essence of Anima. Okay, I'm bad with names. Alright, so, like, if we, and again, this is in your, this is analyze, damage done. This is how you go to this. And then we're looking at the red orbs in phase 1. Okay, you can see the area here this is phase 1. These are, like, every one of these peaks is every time a red orb spawns. So the first one hits, okay, blah blah blah. Then you kill 2, let 1 hit, kill 2, let 1 hit, then we killed 1 more. Okay. Anyways, as you can see here, Shadow Priests are really high. So what we would be doing at this point, let's say, you know, some of the locks are like, unless they're Destro, I think their orb damage is pretty shitty. But let's take Bob for, actually here, let's take Div for example. Hunters are usually really high on the orbs, alright? So, it's like, looking at Div here, either, you know, let's say these orbs are hitting. Let's start there, okay? If orbs are hitting, the first thing I'm going to go to, let's say that I know for a fact that the third orb hit, okay? So let's say none of this shit's here. Or whatever. We'll just go with the last orb. Let's say that we know that the last orb hit. So what I'm going to show you guys how to do here, you want to, like, highlight the area with your cursor. It turns the little graph blue up here. And then you're going to zoom in. You want to do with tables, okay? So let's look at that specific orb. So we're going to click zoom in with tables. And if this orb had hit, I would be going to this and I would look and I would see Bob basically didn't switch. Zonker's damage on it is really low. Div's damage on it is really low. Now, granted, you're going to have like 1 or 2 of these people, depending on your strat, that are going to be out of range for the orb. So it's going to be like, some people are going to be lower than others, but you can't have, you know, people that just do absolutely no damage, or people that do, you know, just, you can't have like 4 or 5 people doing shitty damage. Well, the bottom line I'm trying to get across to you guys is being able to look at specific time frames like this is what's going to allow you to fix problems in your guild and in your raid. Okay, so we're going to back it up here. You know, like, say, this is just Rod in for an example. I can also, you know, say it's compared to, like, let's say, actually, hang on. Let's look at some of these logs that people put. Let me actually go with, here's the log from chat, okay? Oh, big crits on the same fight. Let's see if they had any. Okay, so they had some wipes here. Holy shit. They had a lot of wipes. Or is this? Wait, did you guys? Okay, they got a kill, so that's cool. That's awesome. So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna pick one of their longer pulls. Actually, I'm gonna pick this one. I guarantee you an orb is gonna be hitting here. So if you guys want to follow along, just give me 1 sec. Unstable Vita. Trying to figure out what went wrong here. Okay, yeah, it looks like an orb hit. Okay, so what we're going to do here is We're gonna follow. You guys are gonna follow along with me, so I'm gonna teach you guys how to do this shit. Okay. By the way, how many viewers are we up to? Is it up over 100? I usually try to make sure we have at least 100, so hopefully it's somewhere around there. That way, some people are actually getting to watch this and learn from it. Okay, yeah, we're over 100, so that's good. All right, so anyways, following along here, I don't know why this Twitch counter's broke for me. I linked this. Okay, so we can see, I mean, you kind of look at the deaths. Here's another thing about World of Vlogs. So if we're looking at this specific poll, okay, that I just linked to you guys, you can see these little things up here. Okay, you guys gotta learn these as well. All right, I mean, they tell you what they are when you hover over them with the tooltip. Show player deaths, boss deaths. Okay, so whatever, we're gonna show the boss death. Major events. This is like someone casting a B-res. That's considered a major event. Okay. You can show creature deaths, and it shows these thin blue lines that lets you see when ads are dying. Somebody's going to probably... We got people joining. You guys need to keep posting... Somebody, the mods doing me a favor. Just keep posting that link every once in a while so people can follow along. Okay? So right now we're going to click on Show Player Deaths. And basically we're going to highlight all of these because it all contains pertinent information. Alright? So you can hover over this little thin blue line here. This is creature deaths. You can see these getting toggled on and off. Okay? Now, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So, we're looking at the player deaths, okay? We see that this guy here died to unstable Vita. We could go into that. One thing about that real quick, you can right-click and then look at the death log. It brings up a little box. That's another thing. We'll get into that later, okay? But just, just throwing some of this stuff out there at the, flying through it real quick here. Right now, though, we're going to look at the end. This is obviously where people, Unleashed Vita, whatever, can't do shit about that. And let's see, Unstable Vita, okay, I guess it got out of control here. They actually, okay, hang on. We're going to, okay, check this out. We're going to highlight the end of this here when the whole raid starts dying, okay? We're going to right-click. We're going to set page to selection. So you guys follow along here. So just highlight. You don't have to get it super specific. Just, between these people getting rezzed and then all these people dying. We're going to right-click and set page to selection. So what that does is that trims the log down to a point where it's just that time frame that we had here. And you can, again, show the deaths and whatnot. Actually, hang on. We're going to back it up real quick. This is the last... Okay, here's the last essence of anima that died. So we're going to highlight it from that point forward. I think it is, at least. Let me double check. Okay, yeah. That's the last essence of anima that died. So what we're going to do, we're going to trim it just after that essence of anima died. So I want to make sure that we don't have any extra shit going on, okay? So what we're going to find out here, so we know through process of elimination, is... this orb hit. So what we're going to do here, we set page to selection to the time frame that we're wanting to look at. Okay. Then we're going to analyze, and we're going to look at damage done. So you guys follow along here. I'm going to link this one more time so you guys can get the trimmed. We can get the trimmed the log here. So we're going to damage done, analyze damage done. Okay. Now we're going to select the target, and we're going to look at essence of anima and hit go. Okay. So again, this orb, like I told you, I knew one had hit, and you see there's only one orb here, and this one hit, and that's why it didn't, one didn't die. So this this clearly had to die. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna look at damage here, okay? And another key factor here is the fact that Rodin did damage to it. Is he does damage to it. The other one does damage to it when it blows up or whatever. But anyways, so it's pretty clear they were switching to this. It just did not die. Let's look, the Warlocks, I mean, I think they've, like I said, they've got to be Destro. Oh my god. Okay, so check this Hunter out down here. This guy here did not switch at all. Like, it's one thing to, like, be late switching to being out of range. I want to be really clear here. I'm not trying to, like, talk shit about anybody. I mean, I don't want people to take this as like constructive, like analyzation of a log. Okay, I'm not like trying to, beat up on this hunter or any of these people in here. I'm just trying to explain to these people, um, you know, how to read a log and looking at, why this orb clearly needed to die and it didn't die, unless all these people switched whenever they weren't supposed to, which I guess is an option without having the person in here. But anyway, so yeah, Jesus Christ, man. Fucking Chrome. Okay, so we're back here. Um, yeah. So we see the hunter that's low. He basically did not switch. Okay, let's take this a step even further. I'm going to show you guys. We're basically okay. So we know this time frame. Well, we're gonna trim this even further. So we're gonna trim this to like the fucking 10 seconds before the orb hits and a little bit after, and then we're gonna set that to the selection. Okay. So we're basically gonna keep trimming this until we get it down to right when that orb was going on. And what we're going to do here, we're going to find out exactly what this hunter was doing. Like, no joke. Because it's like, this orb hit. And you guys, like I said, I'm not trying to, like, beat this guy up. I'm just trying to explain to you guys how to use logs to benefit your raid. You know what I mean? So, this is just one person. We're using him as an example. Alright? So, you click this hunter. There's two ways we can do this. We're going to click on this hunter. This is during this time range. We're going to look at what he was doing damage to. Damage done on Rod N. In that time frame, he did 1 million damage to the boss. So, like, it's not like he swapped. Or it's not like he wasn't, you know what I mean? He was there, he was just doing damage to the wrong source. So, you can look at, you get just stuff like this is just ways that you can, because a lot of times you see people, they'll be like, oh man, well, this is what I was doing. Well, the thing is with logs is you can basically prove any single thing that you need to prove. It's not, you don't have to ask someone, like, are you sure that's what you're doing? You just go to the log and you look, and, you can pretty much determine whatever you need to determine by doing so, okay? So we're gonna take this a step even further. So this is just gonna show you another, okay, we're gonna go to log browser. First off, let me get this guy's name. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, whatever. Go to, hover over this, and we're going to go to log browser. Okay, and then we're going to, first thing you want to do is you want to remove, now this shit is key, man. This shit is like absolutely vital to like figuring out exactly what's going on, alright? So let's say, first off you remove the initial one that's in there. Then you're going to go to add query. Then we're going to go to the actor. Okay, wait, so, Roshnu, what's your character name? Let's see. What is this guy, what do you play? Okay, he plays a warlock. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look at, Rashnu. Okay, so we're going to look at what he was doing during this time frame. Like, exactly, like what he was casting and the whole nine. So we're going to look at like hit, spellcast, miss. So we're going to, okay. The thing here, you can hover over this and it kind of tells you. So, but we know like, okay, the actor is basically either source or target. We could go like, if you want to see exactly what Rationale was doing to Rodin, you could put him as a source and then Rodin as a target. You could also put in a specific spell name or a spell ID, blah, blah, blah. But the blanket way to do this, we're just going to put him as the actor. As you can see here, it says basically matches him at, matches source and or target actor name. So basically that's what we want to know here. So we're going to put him in during this time frame. We're going to hit save, and then we're going to hit run query. Okay, so this is basically, now we get to look at what all he was doing during this 20-second time frame. This pretty much, we had it trimmed down to 20 seconds. Okay, so now we can see exactly what he did during that 20-second time frame. So, as you see here, he's on the boss. He's on the boss. Then the orb spawns. Actually, wait, I don't remember what all I plugged in for him. I'm not sure if we have, hang on, we're going to change that. Here. We're removing that. We're going to go back here. I want to know, we're just gonna, I think, what the fuck is the debuff aura thing? Okay, so we're gonna run this again. Okay, Vita. Yeah. Okay, so basically we're looking right here to see if he had the debuff. All right. So what we did here, we added the aura thing. So that's what. No, I think that's actually just because he took damage from it. Anyways, you guys get the point. We're basically looking at what he's doing during. I mean, you can see the buffs that he's gaining, the buffs that he's losing. He's beginning to cast. Things like that. So this stuff is very, very important to what's going on. Okay. And like I said, you guys should be following along with this. I'll link it to you, and then if you guys want to copy the query set, like let's say one person, makes a query and they want to link it to you. So basically, what you end up doing is like you can in the query set that I just linked you guys in Mumble, you can put that in here and then hit OK, and then like here, watch this. We'll remove. We have nothing in here. We're gonna paste the query that I put and then put it in there, and then we're gonna hit run. It's basically gonna bring us the exact same thing that we just saw because that's what I linked you. But yeah, I mean, you guys get the point, okay? So, that is just a quick rundown of how you can use like the log query to kind of like find out what's going on. And you can limit it to, specific, like one thing also, you can't just take like the whole pull. You need to trim it down because the pulls, fights are like 20 minutes long or some shit like that. You're not going to be able to go, it's not going to show up everything. So you want to, pick a very, very limited time frame and then go from there, okay? So that was a quick rundown of like how to use the log query thing. Let's see. Back to the hunter here. We're actually going to, hang on. We're going to find this hunter. MEFFOD. So we're going to find out what he was doing. We're going to add a query. We're going to look at what he was. What was his name? MEFFOD. So we're going to find out what he was doing. Then we're going to run. So now we have two queries. Okay, you guys can change between the tabs here. All right. Now, we're going to look at basically what this guy was doing. And we know, okay, so the only thing to save face with a hunter here, one thing about this, he potentially could have been out of range of the orb. So that's something to keep in mind. But, I mean, as you can see here, he's not stopping doing damage at all. I mean, he's on the boss, like, full time. You know what I mean? Like, we can basically see that by looking at this. Cobra Shot, Arcane Shot, Serpent Sting, scroll down again, Arcane Shot, Serpent Sting, Arcane Shot, Auto Shot, Arcane Shots. I mean, he's basically turning the boss. He doesn't switch to the ad at all. All right. So, all right, we're done beating up on the hunter. I'm gonna answer some questions that you guys may have here in a bit about any of this stuff, but we're going to keep kind of going over the other bits and pieces of the World of Logs. Okay, so again, to recap, that's how you use the log query in a specific time frame. So we're going to go over this like super quick again. So we're going to go to like, what wipe was that one? We're going to basically go back to... I'm going to basically walk everybody through. Okay, so this was our 255 pull. So I'm going to link this, and we're going to go through this one more time together just to make sure everybody understands this, okay? So you go to the overall link, all right, and we were looking at the deaths, and then we knew the orb hit at the end. So what you're going to do is you're going to highlight this shit, right-click, set page to selection, okay? And then you're going to go from there. You can go into log browser, and then that's how that's when you add and edit what you want to see about who you want to see it on. Okay, so just to make sure everybody's on the same page there. All right, so that is the log browser. All right, now we're going to go to. I want to show you guys. All right, we went to analyze damage done. I just showed you guys how to do that. Okay, here's the key thing. All right, this is for people are asking to have it full screen or whatever. I mean, I can just do it like this as well. Um, so this is. Let's see. This is the anti-affinity meter. Okay, so that's what we call it. Otherwise, otherwise known as the survivability overview. All right, so this is what you can look at like over the course of an entire night to kind of look and see who's dying a lot and things like that. So just because we know these guys had some wipes here, we're basically going to go to full report. I'm gonna link this to you guys again. Okay, so this is Big Crits. Shout out to them for letting me use their logs or whatever. Um, we're going to look at survivability. Okay, so this is over the course of the entire night. They did 19 pulls. Okay, and you can kind of hover over here, and while it's not a direct indication of like who's doing well, who's not doing well, because there are going to be certain times where people are there are going to be certain times where people are, that's the best way to put it, dying to reasons that aren't their fault. Okay, so it's not like you can see somebody that has like a 32% on one pull. The way this works here is it's calculated, it tells you at the bottom. Okay, basically a score of 100% until the end of the fight, blah blah blah. It only counts the first death within a certain fight. So say like when Affinity dies 3 times on Lei Shin, it's only penalizing him for the first death. Okay, so we're just going to kind of skim through here and just make sure everybody's on the same page with this. Like we can look at let's see that this guy died. He obviously died really early on this pull. This is the hunter again. Actually, I want to go to somebody else. I don't want to keep picking on the hunter. Let's go to Rash now, since he wants to link the log. We'll check him out. All right. We're going to look at what killed him here. Okay, he dies to unstable Vita. Maybe, we would have to go into this a little more in depth to find out exactly why he died. But, or he can say in chat. But, just something like that. This is giving him a 66.9%. So basically, the whole purpose of this survivability overview is only to get a generalized baseline of people that may or may not be dying early. So, look at, like I said, Lei Shin pulls or something like that. If you looked at like a night of 30 Lei Shin attempts and you see some people that have a shit mode survivability, in a fight like that, pretty much any time that you die, it's your fault. So that is a direct indication of people that are struggling with an encounter. Or say like, Riggnaros Heroic back in Cataclysm. You could be looking at, overall survivability meters and get a generalized understanding of, who was having problems with the fight, who was dying to engulfing flames, things like, and every one of these you can hover over and see exactly what killed them. Like right here, this guy died to the stalker not being gripped or punted out of the raid. It died on the raid, basically. We'll hop over to this one. He dies to... Okay, obviously a tank died because he took a fatal strike from the boss, alright? So he probably had second on threat or some shit. So, I mean, you guys get the picture, okay? So we're not going to beat a dead horse there. So that's just another benefit to learning how to use World of Logs, is the survivability meter, alright? Next thing we were going to go over was... There's one more thing I was going to show you guys. Let's see who was actually... All right, we're gonna go to damage taken. This is the full report. We're gonna go to their kill. Okay, so we're gonna look at a good pull for them. All right, so right here we're gonna look at. Okay, it's pretty clear they got a warrior and a paladin tank. So what I'm gonna show you guys now, this is a very, 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 very important aspect of using. This is probably, if I had to pick like one thing that I use World of Logs for more than anything, it would be this, what I'm about to show you guys. So what I'm going to link you guys is this Warriors breakdown, okay, in Big Crits. And what you're going to do, you're going to click on Buffs Cast, okay? Now, what this is going to let you see um, is like people that are in chat. You guys do me a favor and stop trolling and like talking about random shit. I'm here trying to like help teach people and like explain stuff, and it really annoys me when I'm like trying to read people who have questions or something like that, and the stuff's getting spammed off because people are talking about like irrelevant shit or like just trolling. So, just like for the hour that we're doing this segment, just do me a favor and try to like be productive and constructive and like pay attention. This is, I'm not this honestly. This is like this weekly workshop thing that I do. It's not even really meant for like entertainment. Like I do this every single week for like an hour to like educate people on how to learn from this stuff. And I don't want people that are coming here to learn from it being sidetracked with people that are talking about random shit or trolling. So, mods included. Like, focus. Jesus. And before, well, this guy's a fucking, jerk, man. Just lighten up. I'm trying to help people, man, and I can't help people if people aren't able to pay attention and communicate with me via stream chat. Okay, so I'm not trying to be an asshole. There's a time and place for other things, and right now is a time and place I want people to be able to learn. Anyways, moving on. I'm gonna link this one more time. Okay, so we're clicking this, and people are clicking on Buffs Cast. Now, what this is gonna do here is basically, there's two different ones. You can look at buffs gained, and this is going to show everything that everyone else did for the warrior, okay? Now, that's like paints up, hand of sack, blah, blah, blah. And the reason I'm looking at the tank shit is because I play a tank, and I'll be able to offer a lot more detailed insight about what the tank is and what he's doing, okay? So what we're going to do here, we're going to go to buffs cast because this is just his buffs, okay? And it's a lot more of a consolidated list and things like that. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look at like his, the key part here, again, buffs cast, the little pound sign. Now this is key. You click the pound sign and all of a sudden it puts it up in a little graph here. A visual indicator of when buffs are either active, inactive, blah, blah, blah. All right. So we're going to look at his shield block uptime. We're going to look at his avatar. I'm guessing he did it on the pull. And then again, he could have fit 3 avatars in, but he only did 2. I'm guessing because the pally probably pulls initial threat and then he pops it when it comes off cooldown, which is long enough into the fight that he's not able to get a third one off by the time it happens, whatever. No big deal. Anyways, we're going to look at shield barrier. We're going to look at shield wall. Just things like this. You guys get the point. We're looking around at his buff uptime. And another thing about this, we want to look and make sure that, he is, well, it's not his weakened armor that's up, but things like that. You could look at, let's say that he was the only, he was responsible for keeping up Demo Shop for whatever reason. It looks here like he wasn't. I'm assuming the Paladin is. And, we can compare that actually. We can just go to the Paladin. I think that's his name. Wait, what? Okay. Wait a minute. What the fuck? Hang on. Okay, what I'm looking for right here, just so you guys are on the same page, is I'm trying to figure out why their boss does not have a higher uptime of weakened blows, okay? So this is basically making the tank take 10% reduced damage, okay? And the way that the boss gets weakened blows for a warrior, T-clap, for a paladin, you hit it with your hammer. So from the warrior not having this up is, what, wrong debuff? Am I missing something? What's this guy talking about? Oh, you guys understand what I mean. I don't mean literal demo shot. I'm using terms like, okay, I'll try to be more specific here. Weakened blows. I meant demo shout as in what it used to be called whenever it applied the boss's effect. I'm not talking about actual, the literal spell. So like when I say a tank pops shield wall, that basically means he's using IBF or, Guardian of the Ancient Kings or things like that. So that's what I mean. So I'm not trying to confuse people. You guys are like making me, or like, yeah. What I mean here is I'm trying to make sure the boss has weaken blows on him. Demo shout, whatever. It's like whenever you guys hear me call like Aura Mastery or call Diva Aura Mastery, things like that. It's just verbiage that's picked up from playing the game for a while, and shit keeps changing names. So I don't mean actual demo shout. I'm just trying to say I want to make sure that the boss has weaken blows on him. So neither of the tanks were keeping it up. So that's not to say that it's not on there. So one thing that we're gonna do here, this is just how you figure stuff out. So we're gonna actually go to the boss, and then we're gonna look at his buffs gain. So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna look at weaken blows. So we see here that it's not that the tanks aren't keeping it up, it's that the shaman are basically keeping it active. As you can hover over this and follow along here, you can see that it's pretty much the shaman that are keeping the weaken blows active. And like the guy said, Earth Shot gives weaken blows. So, just things like that. That's ways that you can use the logs. So like right there, we figured out who was keeping weaken blows on the boss and things like that. So to go to this, to follow along. Okay, again, so this is the player thing. You can go to creatures. Okay, you have players and you have creatures. Okay, you can go to creatures. Then you have the boss, or you can look at the ads, okay? So it's like whatever you want to be looking at. Right now we're looking at the boss. We're opening that in a specific tab, and then we're going to go to buffs gained, okay? And that shows what everyone else did to him. And then the buff we were looking for, or debuff rather, is weaken blows. And then we click the pound sign, and it basically confirms that it is active on the boss the whole time, okay? And the reason I was looking for that is I was looking around, just looking for the weakened blows or whatever, and I noticed that the warrior didn't have a ton of uptime on it. And then I went to the paladin and I noticed it didn't have any uptime on it, which is fine as long as someone else is doing it. But I was trying to figure out who was doing it, and we see here that basically the shaman are the one doing it. Now, another thing, like I said, you have two different tabs that you want to be bouncing between. You have buffs cast, which is from the source only of whoever you're looking at. So like right now we're looking at the boss, and we can look at basically who all, in order that the, on this wipe here, wait. Yeah. Debuffs and whatnot. I actually thought that would show for everyone, but it's not. It's only showing, wait. Oh, okay, so I see what happens. This is only when he goes out the first time, I guess. But whatever. Anyways, that's how you, back to what I was showing. This is how you guys follow along with like the debuffs, and you click the pound signs to get visual indicators here. So I want to find something super quick and maybe be able to like show you guys like an example of what this would be used for, on progression or whatnot. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, here. This is from when I was in Forlorn Legacy. I basically, we were having problems with the boss, and we couldn't figure out, like, or I guess not necessarily couldn't figure out, but we were trying to figure out how to, why the tank was dying. Because we had this tank named Casa Grande. He was a druid tank when I was in Forlorn Legacy years ago, and he kept dying on Halion. So, it was like, I'm going to go through the log and find out, when he's using, the cooldowns that he should be using and things like that, okay? So, this is just a little collage that I put together and posted on our Forlorn Legacy forums at the time of, like when he was using his cooldowns and things like that. So stuff like this would be, an example of, how to look at your debuffs and, or use World of Logs to, okay, here's another one, actually. Here's one that I made for myself on the same fight, all right? And you can see here that, I'm making sure that I had the correct amount of uptime on the, my cooldown. So, like, Vamp Blood, I wanted to make sure I was using it as often as I could. Again, this is years ago, so in before it's like, oh my god, man, you're not using fucking, your blood shield or something. This is like in Wrath of the Lich King, so relax. But it doesn't change the fact of what you're looking at. You know what I mean? So like this is back when we had inspiration. You know what I mean? I would make sure that the inspiration had a high uptime on me from the shaman and the priest. This is just an example of what you guys can be looking at. So if there's anybody there that's tanking, this is a type of stuff that would, be you should be looking for, is like making sure that you have the right buffs and debuffs active for the correct amount of time. Make sure that you get in as like from a DPS standpoint. Let's say that AMS was like a DPS cooldown and it's up every 45 seconds. You want to look at the fight time, 3 minutes 30 seconds. Do the math, like, or let's use the rod in thing for example. Going back to the this pool here is 7 minutes or whatever. The avatar. Actually, we'll just use that avatar. It's a 3 minute cooldown. Let's say that this guy was a DPS, which basically means you need to get 3 uses out of it in a 7 minute and 17-second fight for the most part, unless there's a point in time during the fight where you know that something needs to die more so than the rest of them, and then obviously that if that meant trimming down a use of the cooldown, it's less overall damage, but it's more important use of the cooldown. But that's what I'm saying. Like for a DPS, you can use this the same way. You can look at how many times you're getting your cooldowns in during a specific time frame, or during that critical moment when an ad is up, or things like that. So actually, here, just to make sure, okay, we're going to go back to the Blood Legion logs real quick, and I want to follow. We're going to go to Iron Quan, and the whole way that this goes down is, on progression, it was all about who could, or it was all about killing the dogs into that transition to the last phase. So what we're going to do here, we're going to trim this log to the area where the dogs are dying. So this is the most critical part of damage in the fight. And that's not to say that the damage prior to that wasn't important, but it's basically saying that the damage when the dogs is out is the most important, because that's when the damage has to be on the right thing, period. Okay, so we're going to look here. We lust right before the dogs. So we're going to trim this basically from when the dog hops down to when the dog dies. So we're going to trim this as much as we can here. And what we're going to do now, as you see, there's damage done during that time frame where it's the most important. Okay, so we're going to go to damage done, analyze. Okay, and you can go to the target, and let's say that Dameron was the dog that you're supposed to be killing first. You can click him, and you can see who's doing damage to Dameron. Okay, you can see here that Dan was basically, he was doing the most damage to Dameron during this time period. All right, I think I was actually on Rorschach this is last week. It doesn't really matter at this point, but on progression, it mattered. You know what I mean? Like, so, if you guys are having a problem with Iron Quan, and you see it's like we keep wiping on the dogs, you can go to this point in their log and figure out exactly, where that damage is allocated and who's on what. So it's like, let's say that Rorschach was the one that was supposed to die. First thing I'm going to do here, and I'm going to look at Bond and basically see that he's padding, because he's just, AoEing shit instead of single targeting down, which is not a surprise because that's, the type of player that he is or whatever. I'm joking. Just giving Bond a hard time. But yeah, like, just stuff like that. Again, this is last week's Iron Quan kill. It's like insignificant at this point for us, but you guys can be able to use, information like this to better your, your guild on progression, if it comes down to that. All right. So that was the thing, going over the debuffs and how important that was and things like that. Let me see what else I have on the outline. We went over the law browser. We went over analyzing a specific target. One thing here, there's like this thing here that you guys can use. Now, this is a very handy tool. The reason we can't really use it as a guild is because we don't have public logs. But like, what you can do here, you can basically, like, let's take this warriors log. Okay, we're going to go to damage done for their kill. We're going to link this. We're going to put it in the parse URL. We're going to name this like Big Crits 1. Then we're going to take the We're gonna put it in here, whatever. Big crits too. I think this will work. No, this actually won't. This I did the same part. I would need a. Actually, let's do this. Let's take like a 5-minute and 11-second wipe and a 4-minute and 19-second wipe. So we're gonna take both of these. So we're gonna take this one, and we're gonna take this one, and we're gonna compare these. Well, while this thing's doing its thing, we'll wait for it or whatnot. Okay, so like what this is, we can look at. This is very important if you're trying to compare like two different guilds. So let's say that you're trying to make yourself better as a DPS or whatever, as a healer, whatever. You can take a guild who, let's say you have a similar fight. It's like, let's say you find Blood Legion's log of an 8-minute kill, and you want to compare it to your log of a 8-minute kill of your guilds. 9-minute kill or whatever. So you basically put those two things in there, and then you can look at the differences. So you can look at the total damage between that pull. And the other pull, you can look at the raid DPS. You can look at, I mean, all this stuff is filled out like, from, the whole nine. But basically, that's the site. You can mess around with it and figure all that stuff out. There's a ton of stuff. We could go into another hour about raid bots, compare bot thing. But, that's just, showing you guys that that's another element that you can use to, benefit your raid in conjunction with the World of Logs. All right. So, a couple things I wanted to go over. That's kind of like going over the generalized overview of World of Laws, and there's a lot more you can do with it. Like, just to show you guys real quick, you can even go into like the expression editor, and you can do some really crazy shit in the expression editor. Now, what this is like a more a more in-depth, like detailed view of the log browser, which is what I use. Now, like Zonker, Shenna, and all those nerds, they get really into the expression editor. We used to have a guy, Nadri and Opti. I don't know if any of you guys remember those guys, but they were really good using the expression editor. And you can find out, like, a lot more detailed stuff than you can from the log browser, okay? But, while that is, the generalized overview. One thing I want to go over with people right now. I know we've got a decent amount of people in here, and all this stuff's going to be uploaded to YouTube. So what I would ask about you guys, just link this around to other people so they can, watch it, learn from it, and things of that nature. But, my point I'm trying to get across here is World of Logs is these, it doesn't even have to be World. There are other programs that do the same thing. Before you had WoW Meter Online, you have World of Logs. There's like other different sites. The point I'm trying to get at is, if you want to make yourself a better raider and things of that nature, like, you really need to get fluent and sit down and take the time to learn how to use these log, browser editor things, whatever you want to call them. And the reason for that is, that's how you. It's probably the single biggest learning tool that you can do. And another thing that you can, this is outside of the raid stuff. You don't have to, be trying to do this during the raid. This is the type of stuff that you could be doing, on a laptop, just kind of like chilling out, watching TV, whatever. But I'm trying to get at, it's like outside of the raiding way to progress yourself as a raider. And I'm using that to try to like segue into like world logs in general, like parsing. Okay, one thing that I want to make sure that everybody understands here is like, you've got leaderboards and shit like this. Now, we can go to World of Logs, the homepage, and we can go to rankings, DPS, whatever. All right, like, this is I wonder actually. Okay, yeah, like or we put together like some really old raids last year just to like go in there and try to go for like top parses, and like, I was just checking to see if they're still there. I mean, some of these are even still up there. Hang on. All right. So, anyways, the point I'm trying to get at here is you guys need to understand that parsing, while it's important, if you're trying to make your guild be a better guild and like do better, you need to, you know, be able to put a you got to be able to weigh the differences, okay? So you can't like, you know, you can't just be like, okay, my parse is good, then I'm a good player. You know what I mean? Like you can it's not the point I'm trying to get like there are so many people out there that don't understand the like intangibles that make a guild and a raid successful, and a lot of people just play for themselves, okay? Like, you have people, let's say like on Lei Shin, okay? During Lei Shin progression for any guild, ball lightning are an issue. Now, granted before, well, my guild doesn't have an issue, just I'm talking in a generalized statement, okay? So, like, don't think that this is directed at any specific person. I'm trying to let you guys understand this and learn from what I'm saying. Okay? And it doesn't necessarily have to apply for that specific encounter. I'm just using this as an example. All right? Like, just because the ball lightnings need to die doesn't mean that everyone needs to be AoEing. You know what I mean? Like, say that you have a mage in there just popping arcane explosion or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, somebody in there AoEing that doesn't have to be AoEing. The point I'm trying to get at is you guys need to be able to take World of Logs or parses or whatever you want to call it, and, you know, while some of you are in guilds that's what you play for is just parsing, that's fine, but I'm talking to the people who are trying to get their guild to be better, okay? And the way that you're going to make your guild better, if there's any GMs or raid leaders or anything like that in there listening, you need to make sure that everyone understands that the number one priority during progression, okay, like during farm, whatever, you're going to have people that fuck around. You're not getting around that. You don't want to promote it, and you want to remind them constantly that that's not the way that it should be. But during progression, you play to win, period. It's not, you don't play for yourself, you don't play for ranking, you don't play for the top parses, you play to fucking win, man. Like, and you have to make sure everybody is on that same page. You can't have people that are AoEing that aren't efficient in AoEing. Sure, it may make their numbers higher, but let's say that the Frost Death Knight is going to be able to do that a lot more efficiently than the mage that's in there casting Arcane Explosion and shit like that. You guys know what I mean? So it's like, you need to be able to understand stuff like that. And that's what I want to try to wrap all this up with, is just making sure people understand that World of Logs and leaderboards and things like that are, they're important, but they're not everything. Your standing on World of Logs is not what makes you a better raider. What makes the good raiders, what makes raiders that we recruit and retain are people that understand how and when and why things need to happen. Now, some people to different degrees, yes. I'm not saying everybody in my guild is perfect or anybody in a top guild is perfect. I'm trying to say that for the most part, people understand and they know, when it's acceptable and when it's not acceptable to go in there and start nuking shit like AoE status to get big numbers, or when it's like, okay, well, these people can AoE more efficiently, they stay on the boss, and these people, or I'm sorry, that they stay on the ads, and these people do more single target damage, and they get on the boss and things like that. So, that's what I kind of wanted to tie all this together with, is like, World of Laws is very important to be able to understand like this, but you don't want to promote people that are playing for themselves. And I think a lot of people misinterpret that about World of Laws in general. And before you guys say or think what I'm saying is like damage isn't important. Damage is very important, and things like that, but you have to be able to control, the people that play for themselves. You can't be doing Tortos progression and have people AoEing bats. Now, yes, that happens in our raid nowadays because of the farm that it is, but, during progression, you're not killing the boss if everybody's just AoEing bats, you know what I mean? So, like, you got to kill turtles, you got to kill the boss, you're not killing, Radan, your damage is going to drop if you have to swap to an orb, things of that nature. You guys understand what I'm saying? So, just make sure that you guys understand that shit, and if you're trying to help your guild be better, just, you need to be constantly promoting that type of atmosphere. Team player, team player, team player. Like, that's what it comes down to, all right? So, real quick, yeah, Adele is, like, scumbag extraordinaire. You know what I mean? He's going to be like take Caroline last year. You know, he's going to be on the leg doing amplified damage when we need boss damage. You know, it's like say the last leg, you know, we call to just finish the boss. The legs have more HP than the boss does, and then you see Adele still DPSing the leg. You know, I mean, people like that, they just, you know, they're going to do it on farm. None of our guys in our guild are going to be doing it during progression, but I'm using those as an examples, you know, just to give them, you know, give them a hard time or whatever, but also just to let you guys kind of understand what I'm talking about. Okay, and then you know this guy in chat here, he said, how do you go about punishing people that aren't team players? You can't make someone do something. You know what I mean? Like this isn't the military or things like that, and you just basically have to, you know, at the end of the day, that person has to want to win. That's all there is to it. You know, they've got to want to be able to do it. Now, I'm not saying that you just sit there and do nothing. It's your job to make sure that you're looking at the logs, finding out, you know, this person isn't doing what he's supposed to be doing. Like, you know, like take that hunter's log, for example, that we looked at earlier. You know, you go to that and you see that he doesn't swap to the orb. Sure, his damage is overall higher during that time frame, but it's not on the target that he needs to be on. So it's like you show him that and you just be like, listen, man, you need to be on the orb. You can't be setting on the boss. Period. And then that's your job as a raid leader or a GM, you know, whatever. It's your job to let them know that, and it's their job to be able to, you know, motivate themselves to play to win. Okay. So that's pretty much what that comes down to. Let's see. But you know, that's pretty much a wrap. I try to keep these around an hour. This one's went almost an hour on the dot. So hopefully you guys were able to learn about the world of logs and things of that nature. I really hope that somebody at least, you know, picked up on some of the stuff that I was showing you guys, whether it's through the analyzing, the buffs, the debuffs, the log browser, the survivability shit, you know, what have you. But, you know, these are a weekly thing. You know, I will, you know, every week I'll remind you guys, you know, it's an extended invitation to anybody that's a subscriber. If you want me to, you know, take your guild and use it as an example and, like, you know, have you on the stream, you know, doing a, you know, one-on-one, you know, improvement session of, you know, going through a log, a video, or things like that, you know, that's an invitation that's open to subscribers. But you know, obviously anybody can watch it. It's going to be on my YouTube, and you guys, you know, I would recommend promoting this around and linking it to people that, you know, could be using it to their benefit. So World of Logs is very important. I hope you guys understand that, and it's something that, you know, it takes a little bit of time to get used to. And there's a lot more than what I showed you. That's just like the meat and potatoes. So there's a lot of other trimmings that you can add and things like that. But you know, that's the bare essentials. That's what's going to get you by, and that'll be able to, you know, help you get across whatever points you need to get across in a raid environment. All right. So thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys want to do me a favor, I haven't ran any ads. I'm not going to run any ads. I'm going to go ahead and you know, wrap it up here. But you know, if you guys want to subscribe or donate, you know, the Riggnaros.com, it's got a donate button, or you scroll down at the bottom as well. And if you guys want to subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it. So either way it goes, I really appreciate you guys watching. Please follow me on Twitter, my YouTube channel, and Facebook. All that information is linked below. And that's pretty much it. I'll be streaming any of the 10-man PTR stuff that's upcoming, as well as you know, all the BL live raids. So thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys later. All right, good talk. Peace.